Is- Thank you, Rachel. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Syracuse City School District Corcoran High School choice presentation. Tonight, we will have Mr. Primerano, Mr. Lessie, and Sue Centaur discussing the options that our students have. We're just going to ask that you please hold your questions. If you have to, raise your hand or put them in the chat, and we'll go ahead and answer as we go along with the presentation. My name is Selena Lazarus, and I am the Family Engagement Facilitator for the Henniger Quadrant. The FEF for the Corcoran Quadrant is unable to be with us tonight, so I will just go ahead, and we do have some of our program aides on the call, and I will allow Bruno to go ahead and start the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lazarus, and thank you to the Office of Family Engagement for assisting us in implementing these sessions for our families. We truly appreciate all of the support that you've given us. Welcome, families, to our high school choice night with an emphasis on Corcoran. Tonight, you will be hearing from Mr. Lisi, one of the CTE coordinators that we have in the district, Ms. Centaur, another CTE coordinator that we have in this district, And I'd like to introduce two other people. We have two Corcoran teachers on. Ms. O'Connor, if you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself and just introducing yourself to everyone.
Sorry, I was just typing back that we could not unmute, but I see somebody changed that. Hi, I'm Carrie O'Connor, and I'm the Urban Teacher Preparation Teacher at Corcoran.
Thank you, Ms. O'Connor. And we also have Ms. Gregory. Ms. Gregory, if you have the ability to unmute yourself, can you unmute yourself and introduce yourself to everyone?
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. I'm Mrs. Gregory. I am the Manufacturing Technology / Pre-Apprenticeship teacher at Corcoran. It's nice to see everybody tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Gregory, and thank you, Ms. O'Connor, for joining us this evening. Ms. Centaur, if you want to go on to the next slide. So tonight we are going to talk about the pathways that we have to offer at Corcoran High School. We have 27 pathways throughout the district, and here at Corcoran we have 5 distinct pathways that are offered at Corcoran, and we just want to make sure that we answer all the possible questions that we can. Ms. Centaur and Mr. Lisi are going to go over a very brief overview of each pathway, and then we will open it up to questions from our families. And Ms. O'Connor and Ms. Gregory, if there are any specific questions to Urban Teacher Prep or Manufacturing Technology Pre-Apprenticeship Program, we will turn it over to you and hear the answers from you. So Ms. Centaur, I'm going to pass it off to you if you'd like to begin.
Sure. So the first program we're going to talk about that's available at Corcoran is business technology. So this program allows students to see all different aspects of business. There's certainly a lot of application for business in almost any area. I was a former business teacher, so I used to tell kids, if you like music, there's business in music. If you like art, there's business in art and fashion, and as well as accounting and advertising and all those other areas. The goal when we put these programs together was so that kids got a flavor for what business is all about, because so many students major in that in college, and we want to make sure kids have an understanding before they go to college about what it's all about. So the students get a little flavor about business technology when they are in high school. All of these programs are 4-year programs. Students go in 9th grade and they take this business technology class. They would take one in 9th grade, one in 10th grade, a double period in 11th and a double period in 12th to allow for time for if we have job shadows or internships or career coaching, allowing students to meet a lot of the professionals that we work with that are connected to our programs, which is a huge plus for students. The International Baccalaureate program is also a program available at Corcoran. There are some students in some of the middle schools that have the middle school portion of this. This is a very rigorous college preparatory program. The International Baccalaureate is recognized worldwide. And I know that although I'm not super familiar with this, I know that from being around the people that used to do this at Corcoran, these are students in these programs that are pretty well prepared to go to college. And there are a lot of options that students can earn credit towards college while they're still in high school. So Mr. Lisi is going to take it to talk about the manufacturing technology program.
Thanks, Ms. Centaur. Hello, everyone. The Manufacturing Technology Pre-Apprenticeship Program is the newest of our career and tech ed programs at Syracuse. It's an awesome program specifically designed for the student who sees themselves that wants to enter an apprenticeship. This particular program is aligned with the Department of Labor apprenticeship for industrial manufacturing technician. And we have honestly a number of businesses that are prepared to offer our students apprenticeships. We're partnered with the Manufacturers Association of Central New York, MACNY. With this program, they work side by side with us, and they are getting to know our students, and they are a connection to businesses and the apprenticeships. The pre-apprenticeship part of the program is what you would think. Students are starting their apprenticeship in high school. Ms. Gregory and I are working together with MACNY and her 11th grade students. The program's 3 years old, so they are her oldest students, and we are working to prepare them to start their job shadows with companies that are offering apprenticeships. So you can see some of the training that students get. It's foundational. And then students will, of course, will learn more on the job through their apprenticeship. The Urban Teacher Preparation Program is offered at Corcoran, and it's what you think. It is a program that will train students to be teachers, not only teachers, but coaches, and really teaching students to be leaders. And selfishly here in Syracuse, we need teachers. So it's a great program for students that see themselves wanting to be teachers. And we're doing everything we can to hope that they stay and teach in Syracuse. And the Welding Technology Program is another program that's offered at Corcoran, state-of-the-art welding lab. There isn't another one around like it in a high school. It really is fantastic, state-of-the-art Lincoln Electric equipment. I think Mr. Acasio has 16 individual weld booths, as well as some high-tech welding equipment. There's a robotic welder, there's a plasma table welder. So it's very well equipped to train students in all aspects of welding. And at this point, we'll bring it back to Director Primerano to wrap us up, and then we'll take questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lisi. The biggest component when deciding what pathway you would like your child to go into and follow is based on his or her interests. That is the number one factor. We want to make sure that a student has an interest in the pathway that he or she takes. And our pathways are the hook that really get them through school or keep them in school, keep them excited, keep them engaged in school. A lot of hands-on approaches that we take to learning within our pathways. Like Ms. Centaur had mentioned when she was talking about the business tech pathway, our students start off by taking their individual pathways once a day for their first 2 years. And then in 11th and 12th grade, they double period their CTE pathways, have more time to complete projects, to do work-based learning, to do job shadowing or internships. So we really structured it in a way to really engage our kids and ensure that they stay engaged for all 4 years. Ms. Centaur, if you want to go on to the next slide. So at this time, we're going to open it up for questions, but prior to doing that, our website, scsd.com/CTE, has an enormous amount of information on the website, a ton of information on all 27 pathways, not just our Corcoran pathways, and also a number of different videos of our teachers, videos of our labs, recordings of our prior family engagement sessions that we've had throughout the year. Just curriculum is up for each of our pathways. We don't hide anything. We try to stay as clear and transparent as we possibly can with our families and the entire community. What we are trying to do in CTE, our vision is to offer as many possible opportunities for our kids as we possibly can, and help to better the community. If you think of a question that you have after this session is over, or tomorrow, or even a week from now, that website, SCSD CTE @scsd.us, comes to Mr. Lisi Misentor and myself, and we'll do everything we possibly can to answer your questions or find out the answers to your questions. In addition, you can call the Office of Family Engagement or the secondary office in the Syracuse City School District offices, and we will do the best we can to answer your questions. I'd also like to introduce Mr. Straub. I saw that you came on, Mr. Straub. If you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself and introducing yourself, that would be fantastic. He may have stepped away, but Mr. Straub is the principal of Corcoran, and he's on the call. So as we open it up, if there are any questions that he can field as well, that'll be fantastic. So we'd just like to open it up to questions now. If families, if you have any questions about the specific pathways at Corcoran, we'll do our best possible job to answer them. Go ahead.
We need to be able to unmute her.
Everyone should be able to unmute
Yep.
at this point.
There we go.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
Rachel.
What classes are the students missing when they're in this career training program?
They're not missing any classes. What happens is these take the place of their elective courses that they would normally take in a high school setting. So students are still expected to meet all the high school graduation requirements. They have to have 22 graduate credits towards graduation in order to be eligible to graduate. And they get all of those credits: math, science, English, social studies, health, PE, art, music. They have to take all those, and health, anything that is mandated and regulated by New York State Education Department, students are still required to take. So they're not really missing anything at all. This just takes the place of their electives.
Perfect, thank you.
No problem. Ms. Centaur, do you want to touch on this? 30 college credits sounds incredible. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, I think that's I think you're talking about the IB program, and I think that what happens is, and similarly to some of the college concurrent enrollment, in CTE programs, you can take a college class while you're in high school and kind of get double dip, get high school credit and college credit at the same time. I believe the way IB works is those credits will you take them, and you could take a social studies class, but it's an IB social studies class that if you do well, that would translate to college credits when you go to college, when you go to matriculate in a degree program. If you have more specific questions about IB, I think if you want to send it to us, we'll make sure those questions get answered.
In addition to that, a number of our pathways, Ms. O'Connor has students in her urban teacher prep program who travel to OCC. So in addition to the concurrent enrollment classes, a number of our pathways travel to OCC and take college credit courses on campus, and then are bused back to school to take their classes there. So what we like to try to do in our CTE pathways is provide students with transferable skills and career-ready practices. And part of that is also offering stackable credentials. For instance, in Ms. Gregory's pre-apprentice manufacturing tech courses, her students will earn business and industry credentials, which we call stackable credentials. In Ms. O'Connor's class, students are earning college credits, and not that in Ms. Gregory's class, they'll be offered some college credits as well. but we like to offer these stackable credentials so that students have these transferable skills, regardless of if they decide to stay within that pathway after they graduate and enter the workforce, or go on to higher education, or enter any other pathway that they'd like. What they're learning can't be unlearned, and it's all good practices, and it'll help them to be successful in whatever they decide to do.
In addition, those credentials, like for example, the students will get OSHA 10 certified if they're in either welding or the manufacturing program. For the urban teacher program, the goal would be for students, should they choose to, they could get almost everything they need to be a certified teaching assistant, so that they could have that if they wanted to go directly to work, or in most teachers today, if they started as a teaching assistant, there's a career ladder where the school could pay for the additional coursework you needed, or they could just go direct. They could go directly to college, and any courses they would have obviously would transfer to those as well.
And we have, so there's a number of different avenues, and Ms. Centaur touched on what we are trying to do with the Urban Teacher Prep Program. To get students, if they'd like, to join the workforce and then continue on their education to becoming teachers. We want our kids to become our teachers. Mr. Lisi had mentioned that before. We want our kids to be in front of the future kids who will be in our classrooms, and we want them teaching them or coaching them, or being our school social workers, or our school psychologists, or our school counselors, or our administrators in the future. That's the goal of the Urban Teacher Prep Program. In Ms. Gregory's program, the Pre-Apprenticeship manufacturing program, and in the welding program, if done with success, Mr. Lisi, please correct me if I'm wrong, if they decide to enter the workforce right after, it knocks the year off of their apprenticeship, which would mean that they would go into the workforce making more money than they would if they just entered an apprenticeship fresh without any background. And this is, again, part of those stackable credentials. That doesn't go away. So if Miss Gregory's student decides to go on to college and then enter an apprenticeship after a degree program, they still have that background.
And just one quick thing about just a little bit more in the apprenticeship program, and believe me, we're kind of building as we go, because this is the first group that will go through. But we know that many of the companies that are offering apprenticeships that Ms. Gregory's students could apply to offer college classes and the completion of an associate's degree while they were in their apprenticeship. So it's not just going right to work, it's going to work and then deciding if you also want to start to work on your college and college degree.
Ms. Centaur, there is a question. I'm not sure if you can answer it, if we can find the question for Ginny. What is the difference between AP classes at the other high schools and the IB credits at Corcoran?
From what I understand about the IB program, the International Baccalaureate program, there is a way that to get an IB diploma, which means you have to take so many courses that are, taken together. So when you cumulatively look at them, you'd end up with an IB diploma. I believe that you can also take courses that you don't have to string them all together to get the IB diploma. You can take a course here and there. If you did that, where you didn't get the total IB diploma, but you took a course here and a course there, I think that that's more like an AP class. All the other high schools have advanced placement, and the way advanced placement works is similarly to you take American history advanced placement. It's the same basic content as U.S. history, but there's obviously more work. And then at the end of that time, when you complete the class, usually it's in May, you take an AP test. Students who score a 4 or better, or maybe a 3 or better, depending on what college you go to, that can translate to taking care of specific courses that you would take in college. You'd get the high school credit right, while you're taking it, and then you would get potentially college credit if you scored high enough on the exam.
Okay.
In addition to that, IB is a fantastic program. So I'm not trying to underplay IB, and I'm sure if Mr. Straub chimes in here, he has other things to say. But what we're also looking into is there is an IB CTE endorsement for our CTE students where they can earn an IB CTE endorsement in addition to their CTE New York State endorsement.
And I think that would be just taking, so you take your CTE program, you took urban teacher, you would take welding, you take mechanical, apprenticeship, and then you would take an additional 2 courses that fall under the IB umbrella to be able to get that. The question about, is Nottingham the only high school that does not have specific programs? No, Nottingham, which we're going to do tomorrow night, I think. That also
Tuesday,
has-
next Tuesday.
I'm sorry, next Tuesday. It's all a blur to me now. Yeah, they have, right, Bruno wrote it in, business, technology, natural resources, and construction. So I agree with all of these programs that sound really good because they are. They really, it's just about making sure that your student has an interest in them. And I think at the end of the day, and I said this the other night, that very often students get to a program and they realize they are with kids who have the same interests as them. You know, they find their tribe of kids that they really are enjoying the same thing.
And what if
Kids
there's
who
no
all like to
interest?
tinker. Pardon me?
No.
Are those endorsed by IT or CTE? Not sure of the endorsements you just mentioned. So if you complete a CTE program, Career and Technical Education program, you've basically been there for 4 years and you've done the required work, you've passed all the classes and you have taken the test at the end and passed it. That's a practical and a knowledge-based test. And then you would get a CTE endorsement on your diploma. Endorsed by IT. The only high school that has an IB program is Corcoran, right?
And so those endorsements are because our pathways are New York State approved. So we do have that. We do have those approved CTE pathways and you get that CTE endorsement. But the endorsement, I would, Nick and Sue, please chime in here as well. It's not just the endorsement, it's everything that kids learn while they're in these pathways. We have business and industry partners with all of our pathways, and they start working with our kids right in 9th grade. So they're building relationships with business and industry partners right from 9th grade. They continue those relationships through 12th grade and beyond. We've had students who go on to get offered positions in particular business and industries that they've been working with since they were in 9th grade. And it's really a beautiful thing to see. But in addition to that, I know that in 9th grade, I had no idea how to talk to an adult, let alone an HR representative from a business or someone who works in manufacturing or a CEO of a local company or business. And our 9th graders are doing just that. They're in front of adults and people from the business and industry sector, and they learn how to communicate and they learn to have, they learn those skills from 9th grade on to 12th grade. And that's what we're really proud of. It's more than an endorsement. It's just skills that they could take with them for the rest of their lives. And it's really important to us.
Mr. Permarano, did you see the question about options for students if they want to change? And I know you addressed that last night.
Yep.
Do you want to take that? Okay.
So what we really, and this is why earlier I had said, really focus on what your child's interests are and really go with what path. We would all love our kids. I would love my child to go into urban teacher prep or pre-apprentice manufacturing or welding. And quite honestly, just side note here, Carrie, Miss O'Connor, Miss Gregory, Mr. Ocasio, the welding teacher, they're all next to each other downstairs. So it's where they are located in Corcoran, where the welding lab is, where the pre-apprentice manufacturing lab is, and where Miss O'Connor's urban teacher prep lab is. They're all together. So not only are our kids in, like what Ms. Centaur said, together in their own little community, our CTE pathways are also this little community within the greater community of Corcoran, which is awesome that they're together. So really focusing on what we've tried to do last week, prior to Thanksgiving, we gave all of our 8th grade students an opportunity to come over to PSLA at Fowler, where all of our 27 pathways were represented in the gym. They came through, they kind of interacted for a little while. They were there for about an hour. Every 8th grader, or as many 8th graders as we could get over there, we got over there. They interacted with some of the pathways, got to see what our kids actually do when they enter these pathways. And we have sessions like this, and middle schools are also doing sessions with their school counselors and within their classrooms to really help kids make the most informative decision, and parents and families the most informed, well-educated decision that you possibly can make. It's difficult to change a pathway if you are in pre-apprenticeship manufacturing in your freshman year, and then you're like, hey, you know, I'd really like to go into urban teacher prep. That first year is really critical and vital. There's a lot of things that are learned within that first year of curriculum. So really what we try to do is refrain from doing that. We do it in really extraordinary circumstances if it happens, but we really want to try to get the kids into the right pathway to start in 9th grade. And again, I really want to focus on this from a parent's perspective. If your child comes home and says, you know, I'm really interested in culinary or cosmetology or geospatial design or welding, and that isn't the vision that you see for your child, it's okay. This is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for your kid. And again, they're 13 and 14 years old when they're making these decisions. They may not stick with this at all when they graduate. But again, the skills they have, the transferable skills they have, the career ready practices they have, the stackable credentials, the college credits that they have, those will never go away, and those will benefit them in whatever direction they want to go in.
There's a question about, will IEP students still receive resource class plus the help they need to focus on their program?
That's
Yes.
a great question. Go ahead, Ms. Centaur.
But yes, the students will receive, if there's a student that gets resource, that they will still make sure that they get resource. We're trying very hard to even support kids in their CTE class to make sure that they have what they need. But it is, I know this year it's difficult because we're running so low on teachers, which is why we need all those kids to get into that urban teacher prep program. But we try really hard to make sure kids have all that they need. And if there's accommodations that kids get in testing, they still get those kinds of accommodations in a CTE class as well.
There was a question about the schedule, and the schedule differs. The school day doesn't necessarily start with their CTE pathway classes and then they do their classes. It could be at almost any given time. I believe that the 9th graders, Miss O'Connor and Miss Gregory, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the 9th graders have their CTE pathway classes like right after lunch. And I believe that our juniors and seniors are scheduled in the morning, correct?
My seniors are in the morning so that they can make the OCC course, because that's how that worked out the best. Yep. And then I have the freshmen, then the juniors, and then the sophomores are at the very end of the day. And we all have the same schedule this year. I don't know that that's going to continue, but this year that's kind of how it's laid out.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Miss Gregory.
No, I was going to say, since I don't have a senior class, I see my freshmen right after lunch, and then my juniors for their double block after them, and my sophomores are last.
And we will try to work with Mr. Straub and his school counselors as much as we possibly can to ensure that classes are scheduled at a time that will meet the needs that we're trying to provide for our kids. For instance, Miss O'Connor's students who go up to OCC, we wanted to front load Miss O'Connor's class so that it gives them the opportunity to go to OCC and come back. potentially, if there's a 12th grader, for instance, in pre-apprentice manufacturing next year, who can go out to a work site or do a job shadow or an internship, we may schedule his or her classes at the end of the day so that they can finish all their regular senior coursework and then go out and do their internship or job shadowing. And our principals, our administrators, and our counselors have been more than accommodating with that. Is there after school program in high school? If not, what means do they receive additional help in? So we do everything we can. Our teachers, I believe, Ms. O'Connor, Ms. Gregory, they have an advisement period at the end of the day from 2:26 to 2:50, which is built in so students can get some extra support after school. We do have more sporting events at the high school level. We do have more extracurricular opportunities at the high school level than we did at middle school and elementary. But every teacher has that period of advisement for extra help. So it's built into the day. In addition to that, our CTE teachers are more than accommodating and do everything they possibly can to ensure that students are being successful in their pathways.
And I'll just jump in, Mr. Primerano, just a nod to the students that take classes at OCC. They're college students, so they have access to the OCC Learning Center and all of the tutoring and support that any college student at OCC has. Our students can, that is available to them, and they do take advantage of it.
I think there's a question for you, Miss O'Connor, regarding urban teacher prep. CTE, does OCC have teacher training program to follow up after high school graduation?
Yeah, so I'm not as familiar with their specific education program. I know that of course, their credits will count there. Their credits are also transferable other places. We do also have connections with Portland, Oswego, SU, and SU right now. And they all have follow-up programs that they're very interested in our kids moving on to. So they kind of have a foot in the door every place right now, which is really cool. And the colleges all have various teacher pathways too. So my students get to meet the college students, the admissions folks, the professors, and kind of get a feel for things that way. But I'm not exactly sure what OCC's actual education program looks like at this point.
If we had it if I had it my way, I'll just speak on behalf of myself. If I had it my way, our students who go through the urban teacher prep program would get their level 1 teaching assistant certification, go in and start teaching and start being a TA within our district so that they'll get a salary, they'll get benefits, they'll enter the career ladder, continue doing their higher education courses through one of our district partners, maybe through Oswego, take some classes up at OCC, Syracuse University, go on, earn their bachelor's degree in education of some sort, and then continue on to our urban teacher fellowship program and earn their master's. All that stuff paid for, all the while they'll be getting paid. So 0 college loans and a heck of a bank account. And start that off at 18, that's the ultimate goal for us.
And those kids would all be considered in the retirement system, which is, I know, a long way away from for what those kids are thinking about, but are they able to take band?
That's more of a specific question, and again, I think Mr. Straub had to jump off. We will find out that answer for you, but I believe they still can take band, can take anything like that. It's built in within their schedule. Mr. Lisi is nodding his head vigorously. Yes, band is still option for students who are in band. So yes, apparently we can definitely do that.
Yeah, music and art and be involved with the musical, all of those things. Absolutely. That's one of the great things about career and tech ed being offered in high school. Our students don't leave to go to another school for their career and tech ed program. So yeah, all those things are open to CTE students.
Can I just jump in on this one too? Because I've been working with my seniors recently to figure all of this out. This is though where it's very important that the students coming in understand that as juniors and seniors, this course is double blocked, all of our CTE courses. So that takes up 2 schedule slots. So it's not that they can't do extra things, but they do have to make sure that they're passing all of their other things along the way so that they have that free space in their schedule as they get older.
That's a great point, Ms. O'Connor. And you know, you're right. All of these things, all of these additional extra awesome opportunities are for students that are on track to graduate. And that's our priority, is to make sure that students stay on track to graduate and get all these great things.
Ms. O'Connor, Ms. Gregory, you may be able to help assist us, because I'm not quite sure how it works at Corcoran. Will the students have the same advisor all through to 12th grade? And I know every building does this differently. So all the
Yeah, I
high
was gonna
schools
say
do it a
that.
little bit differently. So I'm not sure how it works at Corcoran.
Yeah,
Here-
so,
Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we are currently campaigning for that. I wish Mr. Straub was here right now. I mean, my program, I've had several different guidance counselors. The other ones I think have been a little bit more consistent, but again, just, you know, with staffing and all of that, it's been difficult. But we are campaigning. So if you can help us out, we would love to have the same counselor for all of us and the same counselor for all 4 years. Because I know other schools have tried to do that.
Yeah, I agree, but I do, it's an advantage that our students have having us for all 4 years. Because if we don't have the same counselor, it's still the same guidelines and expectations and all of that for us. So if they have questions for, you know, a new counselor that they may have as a senior, as opposed to what they had as a freshman, it's still the same expectation. So that's what's good about our CTE program, is that they're with us for all of the 4 years.
Rhonda is going to help campaign. So we'll definitely send that message along to Mr. Straub to ensure that we do. Having one guidance counselor would be awesome. Rhonda, you had also asked about visiting the school. And I'm going to put this plug in now as well. On Monday, December 6th, our high school choice registration application opens online. On that day through January 31st, our 8th graders, all of our 8th graders will have an opportunity to complete the high school choice application. With that high school choice application, they will make 2 selections or up to 2 selections for their CTE pathways. And if they want to transfer high schools, a high school transfer, they can make that as their 3rd choice. For instance, if you live in the Henniger quadrant and you'd really like to go to Nottingham instead, you can make that if in the traditional high school path, not a CTE pathway. And the reason why I bring that up is because in addition to that, we interview for all of our pathways, all 27 pathways, because again, what we want to make sure is that a kid really wants to be in this pathway, that's what he or she wants to do or has an interest in doing. So we have interviews. The interviews are done at the school, which will give you the opportunity to go and see things as well. So when you do complete the high school choice application, it'll give you 5 different options as far as setting up a time when you would like to go and conduct your interview. And again, and I don't want to say that the interviews have to be done at the high school level, because just like we're meeting virtually tonight, that's also an option. So we know that some families may have difficulties, especially if you're going from one side of town all the way to the other. So we want to make it as convenient as possible for our families, for our teachers and administrators. So if you can't make it to the high school, you could still choose a time and we can do it virtually. But going to the high school will allow you an opportunity to see those labs and how awesome they are.
And as far as that last question, if you're not transferring out of your quadrant, for the first time last year, we asked that every single 8th grader complete that survey to tell us exactly what they want to do. So even kids who were at Clary and were going to go feed right into Corcoran and they didn't want a CTE path, they just wanted to go follow the normal feeder pattern. We asked everybody to do it, because it allowed us to know as a district to know where everybody wanted to be and try to get every student and family where they wanted to be. So it was really helpful. For the first time last year, we had a lot of great information. I think they're going to ask people to do that again. Everybody's just going to complete that survey, even if you're going to go from where your feeder school is right to the feeder patterned high school.
Great questions. Does anyone have any other questions for us? If you don't, I'd like to thank the Office of Family Engagement again for helping us with the virtual sessions. You've been absolutely wonderful, and we appreciate everything that you do for us. Families, if you have any further questions, by all means, please feel free to reach out. Our SCSD CTE at scsd.us email address goes to Mr. Lisi, Ms. Centaur, and myself, and we will do the best we can to answer your questions. Or feel free to call the district office, and we'll go about that way. Corcoran's a wonderful building. It's a wonderful place. It's Corcoran the family, and it truly is a family and a community. And we just have a smaller CTE community within that family, and awesome pathways and awesome opportunities for our kids. So Ms. Fleming, Ms. Lazarus, thank you so much for hosting us this evening. We appreciate it.
You are so welcome. You are so welcome. It's our pleasure. So we'll see you again tomorrow, because I'll see you again tomorrow, because it's Henniger's
shameless
project.
plug, families, if you want to come on tomorrow night.
Yes.
Henniger.
Yes.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you. Can the OFE staff just stay on? Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.